Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming today. Our session today is all about workflow efficiency, and I'm really excited to share some of these interesting examples and use cases that we have. I'm going to kick off first with introductions. My name is Megan Smith. I'm the Senior Director of Client Services here at SocialFlow. And today I'm lucky to be joined by two power users, Mark Feuerborn, our News Operations Manager for KSNT at Nexstar Media, and Jensen Rubinstein, Distribution Editor at Insider Inc. Welcome, guys, and thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Megan. We're super excited to be here.
Awesome. So the first topic we're going to go over today is optimization. I'm sure all of you have heard about it from the initial SocialFlow sales pitch or a training session, but maybe some of you are already using it, or maybe you're confused by it and not sure how to use it. So in short, optimization is our system's ability to find the best time to send a post or tweet based on your audience's real-time availability. But maybe you're not sure how to make it work for you. Everyone's needs are a little different. I know most of our clients are in the news or publishing industry, but not all news is created equal, and not all social accounts are actually news accounts, right? So how do we make optimization fit our needs? Well, Mark from Nexstar is here today. He's going to talk a little bit about how he uses optimization and uses it in conjunction with day parting. So I'll let Mark take it away.
Thank you, Megan. Yeah, like she said, I'm with KSNT News. We're a TV station based out of Topeka, Kansas, and we also have a really aggressive digital presence, and we work with the entire Nexstar Media network of TV stations to be able to distribute content as well as take some of it ourselves. And SocialFlow plays a really big part in our ability to take all of that content we have available and send it out to our own specific audience, as well as everybody else who takes content from us in the Nexstar network. So, you know, I really liked Megan's summarization of optimization as well. And, you know, when we first started trying it out, we didn't really understand it or how it worked so much. But you also probably have seen day parting roll out recently as a new feature on SocialFlow. And, you know, when we started trying that and we learned more about it, we also learned more about optimization's behavior with it. And I think that if you give that a shot, you can really become a real expert at optimization as well. And the best part is that you'll find that optimization follows your lead. And I can get more into that here in a little bit. But you know, we really committed to using optimization for our social content schedule when we tried day parting. And you know, the real big difference there is you just put a little bit of groundwork in to set up a schedule initially, and then you get to focus entirely on writing those quality captions and pitches for your content on social media. And you don't have to worry as much about having to plan out a schedule day after day. So it's a huge time saver. And I'll show you that you don't actually, even though it does save you that time, you don't have to give up entirely on scheduling or taking over control in breaking news situations when you try it. So let's go ahead and get started to talk about it. Day parting actually comes in two parts. There's the rule sets that you can set in day parting, but then also the schedule. And the schedule will kind of determine how optimization behaves and follow the rule sets that you build to start. So let's start with those rule sets. This is like an example rule set. You're probably going to have multiple for your schedule, not just one rule set for the entirety of it. And so for this one, you can kind of see that there's a lot of customization options that you can pick from. So you can see here, this is an example slide, and you have a lot of different options that you can customize that determine how optimization will behave. And you should probably have a different rule set depending on the time of day. You'll have multiple for your schedule, probably not just one for the entirety of it. But let's just start with building that first one. You have your max messages per rule set, and that means that however long you use this rule set, that's how many posts that optimization is allowed to send out. So if you have something that's kind of a shorter, a rule set that's going to run for a shorter time, like 1 to 2 hours, well, depending on how many posts that you make in just 1 or 2 hours, you probably want to cap it for that. But if this is something that's going to run for a really long time, 8 hours maybe even, that means that you would probably extend the amount of messages that you can cap things at. The other thing that you can also do to further control that is max messages per hour, where hour by hour, you can actually set how many posts it will make or it's allowed to make. So in a 1 to 2 hour rule set period, you might set it up to say, 2 to maybe 6, 2 to 8 posts, depending on how frequent you actually get on and post yourself. But that's nice because you don't actually have to customize that as the time period you use the rule set extends. It just behaves hour per hour. The other thing you can do to tweak that and further refine how optimization will behave is your minimum and your maximum message interval. So you can have the minimum amount between your posts, but also the maximum. So after you reach that maximum, it has to post something else again. The minimum would let you kind of force a waiting period between your posts. So what I would really encourage you to do as we look at our schedule next is you probably want to build rule sets based on the research that you have about your own audience. This will probably take some research on your own personal, or I should say your company's social media audience and your traffic engagement patterns that you can see from your day-to-day time. You'll probably really quickly spot that there is a certain time of day that you have the absolute most people clicking on or active on your accounts, depending on what your audience is. But also, your own website traffic could factor into that as well if you need a little bit more guidance on it, because that can really paint a picture about your audience that is on your social media and is looking through what you have to offer. So for us, we have 3 core rule sets that we run Monday through Friday, but then also we have an extra 2 on Saturday and Sunday that we kind of think of as like our overflow. So these rule sets for Monday through Friday, these all determine, depending on the time of day, how much of our content we're going to post or how little. And I can tell you that what we know about our audience means that if we have a traffic swell at like, say, 9 a.m., we're going to make sure that we have a rule set that matches to bring out as much of our content as possible for that audience to get a hold of. Maybe during the graveyard time that you can see there also, that's probably when we have less people on. So our rule set would probably stretch things out a bit. We might say, oh, the minimum time between posts is probably a lot longer on our graveyard rule set than it is on our dayside rule set. So that's my encouragement to you, is have unique rule sets for every major shift in your audience. And trial and error doesn't hurt. You might give it a shot and say, well, we probably could do a little bit more during this time of the day or a little bit less. I would get some real trial experiences that can tell you, based on your content output, what you can effectively distribute with optimization. The other thing that I really want to go over, as we can take a look now at one of our weekly reports that shows kind of our performance, we maintain a pretty healthy balance of not just optimizing everything, but we also do some scheduled and published content as well. And you can see here that the optimized content is some of our top performing as well. Some of that is just evergreen material that we just let publish whenever, and it just takes off like that. But we also get to take control, and we can schedule and publish content as needed as well if we do want to take a manual approach to some of it. And the best part about day parting and how it plays with optimization is those rule sets you make, your scheduled and published content, actually factors into those rule sets. It will follow your lead on how you decide to distribute your content. So your scheduled post or your published post might actually count towards your maximum posts per hour that you said earlier. So optimization will kind of base what it does and adjust on how you make your own manual posts as well. And we've found a lot of success with this balance. Our engagement really stays pretty positive. We haven't seen any kind of a decline when we relied more on optimization. And month over month, from July to August, you can see that the message is still the same. Pretty consistently, we have a healthy balance between optimization, scheduling, and publishing. about the same ratio. And we still see optimization has some top performers, but also some of that content that we just decided to manually take over on also was a pretty successful one as well. One last thing that I really want to talk about too is for some of you who may have a smaller digital staff, or maybe your scheduling allows for a Monday through Friday staffing, but not for a weekend, for example. We know how that is. We don't necessarily have a dedicated digital person on Saturdays and Sundays all the time. So optimization, what it really has made a difference in for us is we're able to write out all of our different captions that we put on our social media content and our articles. And we really get to focus on those thoughtful pieces for those evergreen pieces as well to give them a better shot. And more often than not, we'll see that we have a stockpile that actually rolls over into the weekend. Prior to happening, really depending on optimization, when we would go home on Friday nights, we may not have content that consistently posts on Saturday and Sunday. So you can kind of see it's a more thorough coverage pattern when you are able to use that and focus less on the meticulous scheduling that you may have to deal with otherwise. One last thing that I will say is just kind of a bonus that really helps with our workflow is SocialFlow's Chrome extension that you may not necessarily know about. So the Chrome extension, available at the Chrome store, of course, it's something that you can add on to any version of SocialFlow, regardless of your CMS. Whenever you're done creating that content and you publish it and it's live online, you can go onto that page, view it live, review it, and then if you just press the SocialFlow Chrome extension button, like you can see in this screenshot, it actually will let you fill out your social media post and distribute it to the preset accounts that you set up with that extension. So I really personally like the extension because while we monitor our social performance and what we have queued in the web platform, the Chrome extension actually lets you simultaneously write out your captions per platform and send them all out simultaneously. In the web platform, when we've manually made posts, we've kind of found that you might have to write a caption for your Twitter platform distribution, and then also simultaneously you'd have to start over and do it again for your Facebook as well. Well, that all gets wrapped into one specific action here with the Chrome extension, where you can click on your Twitter tab here and fill out your Twitter post, which may be different from the Facebook one, and then just click over to the Facebook one, stylize it differently, and then send them all out all at the same time, whether that's with optimized schedule or publish now. Overall, it just really makes a big difference in our workflow speed, and in breaking news, it can make a huge difference for you. So that's my time, but that's my big three also. Try those rule sets out, get them laid out on a schedule, and if you use the Chrome extension, no pressure, of course. I think it will. I think it'll make a big difference for you in terms of just how much you can actually get done in a given day and have stockpiled for later.
That's so great. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. We do have clients who swear by the Chrome extension. It's very popular, but there are people I'm sure who don't know about it. So I'm so glad that you highlighted that. Also, just going back to your reporting, I know that we did a white paper a couple of years ago. It should still be on our website, where we compared optimized versus scheduled versus publish now. And obviously the publish now content is typically your breaking news, your most exclusive stuff, and it does outperform the best, but the optimized always comes in second and scheduled last. So I'm glad that you're seeing that in your reports as well. I also want to point out another feature that's not obvious, not readily highlighted in the platform. We've recently found a way to bring in content that is not live yet and still have metadata attached. So currently, right now, the way it works is when you put in a URL into the compose box or to the Chrome extension, we read the metadata, that title, description, stuff underneath a Facebook post from the live link from the actual article. But there are use cases that we found, or times where clients will need content in SocialFlow that's not actually live on the site yet. And unfortunately, in the past, in that case, we wouldn't be able to read the metadata because the page isn't actually live. We can't see the OG tags, which is what Facebook uses for metadata. However, we have a new way now. So if there's a client out there who has a similar situation, you need this unlive content in SocialFlow, we have a way to read the metadata off of the RSS feed itself. So we could still bring in the title and description and allow you to customize that information before the article is even out yet. So if you're planning ahead of time and need to see that content in SocialFlow, we can certainly work with that. So the next item I want to highlight today is another way to bulk import content into SocialFlow. So outside of feeds and the Chrome extension, you can get content into our system through the message template. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet. And as you can see here, there are a number of different columns. We've recently added more columns to the spreadsheet. You may have heard in Jason's session yesterday, if you guys had attended that ROAR session. But this has made these updates have made the message template very, very helpful. So you can add or customize Facebook metadata now in the template. You can add labels as you're importing content through the message template. And you can even upload images and or video by way of URL. So unfortunately, you can't just attach an actual file into the spreadsheet and import it that way. But if you have the URL to that image, wherever it's hosted, or to the video, wherever it's hosted, you can put that into the spreadsheet and we'll be able to take the media from that URL and attach it to the post or the tweet as you're distributing it. So those are some really great enhancements to the message template that should help some folks get their content into our system. And along the lines of other bulk upload options, Jensen and I, along with our savvy developers, also worked together recently on a very large import. And this was specifically for video content for Twitter, but I'll let her describe the use case.
Yes, thanks for the intro, Megan. So at Insider, a huge part of our video strategy is having the ability to easily reshare our evergreen videos to both increase views and engagement on our videos across social. So something that was really important to us when we were getting everything set up on SocialFlow was not only how can we better optimize our videos for our Twitter audience, but also how can we get our videos back into the hold queue in case we ever want to reshare and retweet the video. So this is where labeling became really necessary for our SocialFlow use. To get us started on SocialFlow, Megan and her dev team bulk imported videos into our Twitter handles hold queues on SocialFlow, just kind of based on the year they were published. And all necessary parts of the metadata, including thumbnails, monetization, video title and description, were included in the bulk import. So basically, once they were in the hold queue, we got to jump right in with tweeting our videos. And this prevented us from having to re-upload the videos from Twitter back to Twitter Media Studio. So basically everything was maintained on that one video tweet in Media Studio. All of the monetization, basically everything was kept in that one video on Twitter Media Studio, all of the monetization, all of the past tweets, and all of our future tweets. So you can see here on the Business Insiders hold queue, we do have videos just sitting in the queue waiting to be tweeted out again. As I've mentioned, being able to easily re-promote evergreen videos is an important element of our Twitter video strategy. So we kind of had to figure out the best way to denote the videos that we wanted to easily get back into the hold queue for when we wanted to tweet them again. And this is where labeling came into play. We have a set evergreen label for videos that we're planning to reuse again in the future. So now for every video that we want the ability to get back into the hold queue, we will just label it with the evergreen label. And this just kind of makes it easy for us. Once we send it out, we can always get it back because we do know that it does have that evergreen label on it.
That's great. I think that's a really smart strategy. We've talked at SocialFlow time and time again about recycling and reusing content, particularly with Twitter. People are just not everybody's going to see it the first time around. And especially when things perform well, you can pretty much count on them performing well again in the future. So I think this is overall a really smart strategy. And I remember, I think we actually started this project back in 2019. We imported something like 3,000 videos.
Yeah, it was a lot of upfront work. And, there were a few bumps along the road, but it really has saved my team so much time, so many hours every week. And just being able to have the ability to optimize has really just greatly improved what we're doing on Twitter with our videos.
Yeah. So just to recap the process for everyone watching, here's just a couple bullet points. We use the Twitter API. We pulled a list of media IDs for the video content. We essentially used a date range to gather, the long list of media IDs that we wanted to re-import. And we brought that back into the queue, complete with metadata and monetization details. And everything was labeled Evergreen, so you could easily recycle or reuse that content, find it and reuse it and send it out again. So I know it was sort of a long process when we were ironing out the first time. We had a few bumps along the way, but it sounds like it's been a really helpful tool overall. So thanks again for sharing.
Yeah, of course, we love it.
Yeah, this is a great use of existing resources, Jensen. I really like what I'm seeing here. And, I'm thinking of some other platforms that this could be applied to, like Facebook, for example. And I'm wondering, have you seen or know a similar process that you could make this happen on Creator Studio for Facebook, for example?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually use the message templates that Megan just showed earlier on in the panel, and we will upload those files with the Facebook video and the share text that we want to go out to our Facebook pages again. So we kind of use a different strategy for Facebook with the message templates.
Yeah, and that should actually be technically possible if we wanted to do sort of the same process with Facebook that we did with Twitter, but we haven't done it yet, Mark, and we would just need to investigate the API from Facebook to see what's possible. There may be some limitations, but we could certainly look into that.
Yeah, sign me up. I'd love to try it.
Awesome. So I guess there's just a couple more small things I want to make sure that I brought up today, just in case there are folks who don't know about it. Dynamic tracking tags. So you probably already know about our regular tracking tags. There's the option in your account settings to set tracking tags that apply to every URL, but they're static, right? And then in the compose box, we have tracking tags that you can apply to just that one specific URL that you're composing with. Dynamic tracking tags allow you to have tags that will dynamically change depending on the content itself. We have a few options here. We can't do sort of everything, but we do have a few options: unique ID, the time, service type, and post type. So the keys that you see on the left-hand side, those are standard. They get automatically applied. And then the values that you see on the right-hand side in the parentheses, those would change dynamically based on what we're reading from the article itself. So just an option if anyone would like to see that sort of information in their traffic platform, Google Analytics or whatever you might be using. And then the next thing I wanted to briefly mention, we updated our WordPress plugin. Here's a screenshot of that. So this has just recently gone live, a new updated version 5.8.1, and it has a lot of nice little features in it. So basically, the idea is that if you're using WordPress as your CMS, you don't necessarily have to log into SocialFlow. You can actually use the plugin within the WordPress environment. And as you're creating your content, your articles, you can create the post or the tweet directly within the plugin right there, right underneath the article. And it does allow you to customize the post versus the tweet. So you get the same sort of flexibility that the Chrome extension has as well. It's a nice, handy little tool, and it keeps you sort of all in one place.
I love that, and that definitely applies to us.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, you're saying that right as soon as I'm done with the content within the WordPress CMS, I would be able to just publish it straight from my same drafts preview screen.
Yes, exactly. You could see a list of all of your articles as you've created them, and the post or the tweet could go out as soon as the article goes live.
Okay, well, I think we definitely need to look into that.
And you still get the value of optimization there as well. So you could say, when the article goes live, send it to SocialFlow as an optimized message, and then it could go out in the next few hours, or you could have it immediately go out. But anyway, lots of settings and options. Okay, so that concludes our session. I want to say thank you again to Mark and Jensen for taking time to be here today and to share your workflows and tips and tricks with everybody. Hopefully it inspires some of you who have joined us to take advantage of our features, or if you would like, you can reach out for collaboration. We're always open to new ideas, and sometimes we have solutions that you just might not know about yet. So now we're going to take some questions over chat, and we're going to follow up with answers via email, but I'm going to include our emails here in this slide. So anyone who feels like they want to, you can welcome to reach out and we're happy to connect.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on this, Megan. And for myself personally, feel free to reach out via that email. And I'm sure that we could, if you have questions regarding day parting or setting up some schedules, I'm sure we could hop on a Zoom call and see how we can best fit that for your own personal, your own operation.
Yeah, I am also super happy to collaborate with anyone or answer any questions that came up. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to Megan and Mark. This was very insightful and very awesome.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.